Alrighty, day one of getting the wiring laid out here. So those curious how the kit from Advanced Flight Systems works, all of these wires, again, are pre-made, so this is a good example of one that's really well laid out. But they give you a nice little layout here, which shows where the bundle is starting and how it's ending with different shoot-offs. So good example with this one, where it is clearly labeled where the ACM plug is. I know that my ACM is going to be sitting right there under that left-hand rib, so we just wanted to lay it out to see exactly how much length we have. So roughed it out. You'll see it travels along the side here. This is, again, this diagram here for the AP servo harness, so everything is going to the right-hand side. So following along, it continues along, and then one shoots out off the side. This one here is labeled from AFS, and this is labeled roll right wing. The other bundle continues on down the line, which will run through our conduits, which we did go ahead and color code with strings when we pulled string through with the vacuum. So all of them had different colors. But anyways, we'll pull it through, and it will fit all the way down to the end with just a little bit of leftover length. And the reason I mentioned leftover length, we originally tried running this network cable, this white one here, tried running it down the right-hand side, and we were short by about a foot. It's no issue, it's totally fine going down the left-hand side, but just something to keep in mind, probably mock it up beforehand before committing to conduits, or else you'll end up like us having to unrun it, rerun it down the other side. So there's your check-in. So quick check-in. I have the flap, or I have basically my autopilot servo wires coming down the right-hand side of the plane here. I wanted to get my flap and trim bundle as well to go down the right side, since that's going to pop out into the right wing. What I found was the length from the ACM where it's going to live all the way back to the rearmost trim is it's a really tight fit. It probably is possible, but I want to leave myself with the most amount of extra cable as possible, because I'm going to screw up crimps when I get to that point. So I'm going to reroute that that bundle for the flap and trim system. I'll route it over to the other side. I don't see an issue going down the left-hand side, being that the lines that would need to cross over to get to this right wing, they are going to be pretty long. Flap's going to have plenty of room. Imagine if this was on the other side there, I'm going to be able to route it over into the tunnel to the flap. This bundle here is for the roll trim, again for the right wing. So when the bundle's over there, you have to shoot all the way across. I am really confident that I'll be able to make it to that wing route. It would definitely make it. Yes, I'm going to have to go through the tunnel. I think I found a way to do it, going behind the arm of the flap system here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this bundle over to the left-hand side, and we'll continue on from there. One thing I am doing, by the way, is you'll see I have a little bit of electrical tape. These heat shrink labels are loose when they come on it, because obviously they want us to be able to, if we need to, trim and whatnot, slide it around and then heat shrink it on there. But you'll see I did put a little bit of tape on there. As I was pulling that out, I had a fear of that label being pulled off and being lost somewhere in the conduit under the baggage pole. those curious, so this pole riveter, pop riveter, whatever you want to call it, is from Harbor Freight. It fits perfectly. This section is really tight here. I have one other pop rivet tool from Harbor Freight. It's the orange one you may have seen in previous videos. That one did not work here. My pneumatic one did not work here. It's a really, really tight space, but this particular one from Harbor Freight, you'll see has a nice squared off edge here, and that sits in there really nicely. When I drew my line earlier, the way I found where I wanted to rivet this is actually drop this into this channel, kind of worked it around. There's a little rubber O-ring, kind of gets in the way, but worked it around that O-ring to find where exactly the pop riveter was going to be happy, where it wanted to rest, where I wouldn't be fighting either the side skin or the inside of the J channel. That's how I drew my center line here, and this is working great. So highly recommend this, at least for this tight area. What a fun little project that was. There's the pattern for my doubler that I chose to use. In the manual, it called for somewhere over there. I'm just pointing in a random direction. I think it's actually right. Called for using, I think it said a 2-inch diameter doubler. So I am very, very happy with it. The doubler itself has a perfect circle, and then the top skin itself has a keyway. I'm going to call it a keyway, but you'll notice it kind of indexes well with this antenna. Obviously, it's going to sit a little bit lower than this. This has the nut still on there, so that'll be on the bottom side. But I'm pleased with it. That was kind of some hard bucking. Being able to, I was able to fit my arm inside of here with this servo here. But I'm happy with the rivet. So I'm not sure if that wire, if the coax wire would actually reach. Actually, I'm fairly certain it would not reach all the way over. You'd probably make your own coax cable if you did want to run it all the way back and under the fairing. But I kept it in the location that the instructions call for. I don't think it looks too horrible because we'll also have comm antennas down underneath in the bottom. I don't have to worry about too much going on up top here other than 2 GPS pucks. So I'm happy with it. Already got the lines laid out. Just going from advice from others, I am not using the scribe lines. The scribe lines are at approximately 37.5 inches, where they would have you cut it to originally. The opening itself is 37 inches, so 37.5 won't do any good, and that's too much standing for me. So I went 37 1/16. I think I can bring it in from there after. Here I took the measurement on the inside of the skin to the longeron, and that's about 3/4 of an inch. It seems like it varies possibly by a 32nd or so. I'm a hair over 3/4 here. Again, ignoring the old scribe line. Scribe line appears to put you at too high off the longeron. So it's ready to rock. I'll get to that part later, why all that's up top. But it's ready to rock, so tomorrow I think I will start getting at the cutting phase here, which I'm not really looking forward to, but we'll get to it. All right, y'all, today's the day. All right, it's hot, it's dusty, but I'm happy so far with how I'm doing this here in the shade. So using that guy there, I'm very confident with him. Using a metal cutoff wheel, that makes really quick work of your first major cuts. You'll see I have a flap disc on it now. So I have a flap disc on it now. I don't want to get this camera in front of the swamp cooler, you'll have a bunch of wind noise, but I have a flap disc on it now. That's also making very quick work of chasing down my lines that I drew. So I am probably an hour or so into this, into at least the cutting and whatnot, and I'm very close. You'll see this cutout here is exactly 37 inches. Once I can get it to slip over the sides, that's when I know that it will fit inside the frame, at least the forward and aft portions of the door frame. So I'm close. I'll probably call it quits for now and come back and work again later. But for an hour and a half of work, I would probably do this again with that cutoff wheel. It's making very quick work of all the cuts. Camera lady.
Tell them what you're doing, babe.
All right, come to this side. I'll show you. So for a first attempt, I'm happy. We got this measurement perfect. I don't know about the bottom measurement yet. What I found was on this side, if I come over here. So here's what I mean. This angle piece here, I think needs to be able to sit flush with that guy there. Looking across, you'll probably get an idea of it, where I have those little scribble marks. But I think I need to grind that a little bit flat to allow that to then allow that angled piece to mount flush with the side. Test fit numero dos. It's 100 degrees in this garage. It's hot. Test fit number 3 though. I think I need to remove a little bit more material on the back side here. You'll see the bulkhead is starting to fit, but I do still have some pressure. I did test fit the skin off camera. I'm trying to do something as quick as possible in this heat. But off camera, test fitted the skin. And I do think I can still get rid of just a little bit more material on the back side here. Other than that, I do still want to remove some material on the bottom portion here, mainly to buy myself a little bit of room on the sides. I'm doing pretty well on the longeron clearance back here, but I do think I'm going to shave down probably a 32nd of an inch on this side and a 16th of an inch on that side. That side right in here, it's binding somewhat. So that side's worse than this side, so I'm going to shave that down. This clearance worked out well. I'm happy here. Other than that, up front here, I've got to figure something out here. I think I'm going to, I don't want to keep carving this way into the side here, but you'll see it does still have a noticeable amount of resistance in this corner. That hole though is pretty far over. I think what I'll do is I'll carve out some of the aluminum and bring myself down to still a good edge distance, but take away some of the aluminum material in that corner here just to buy myself more room. I don't want to keep grinding into this sidewall here. Other than that, same situation on that side over there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this off. But this has worked out really well. Harbor Freight electric hoist. I love it. I tried doing the bike hoist, which is rated to I think 45 or 47 pounds. I think the canopy is about 50. I actually had it installed. My parents actually, thank you, shout out to my parents for helping me with all this. We installed a full bike rack on the top, or bike hoist from Harbor Freight. But it was visibly struggling when lifting this. We actually did lift it and did a test run of it, but I'm much happier with this versus the bike rack or the bike lift from Harbor Freight. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this back off of here and probably call it for the rest of the day here because it is really heating up here. All right, fourth install. It's getting there. It's getting there, there's no other way to put it. I do have some trimming to do back here. I have, you won't be able to see it, but I have a little bit of interference with the top of the longeron. I'll try to show you with the camera. You won't be able to see it, but I have a little bit of interference with the top of the longeron back here, which is keeping, it's kind of resting on top of the longeron. Don't like that. So I'm gonna trim down this section here, probably another 32nd or so. Back here, I did get the bulkhead interference to stop. The next thing I want to do though is kind of sand down where this skin sits inside of this little channel inside of here. Kind of square off the edge. You'll see if you look down it, the skin is sitting proud on top of the fiberglass. So I just want to get a nice like right angle inside of there, just because it has kind of a bend going up it, and I just want to get a crisp joint there. I do have to be careful not to go too crazy. You'll see up here where I did get a little bit too crazy. I know this has been a common one in the past, or I forget whose video I saw it on, but this section up here, the flange kind of disappeared on mine. So I took my sander and added a little bit more of a flange in this forward portion here on both sides, where the flange kind of started to disappear almost, and for whatever reason in the mold. But when I did it, I came a little bit high, and you'll see it made it look like this is now sitting high, but it's actually not. I just went a little bit too crazy with the sander, which I can fill all that in later. I'm not worried about it, but something to keep in mind back here when I'm adding this flange in a little bit more, getting a little bit more of a right angle in here. I just have to be careful not to walk it forward too much. Other than that, I'm happy. Up here, I do have a little more trimming to do on the side of this flange. You'll see I just really don't want to remove much more material here. I'm starting to go, I think I mentioned in the past, but I really don't want to remove too much material. I'm going to carve down a little bit of the aluminum on the side again. I've already done a little bit, but I need to do a little bit more next to that rivet hole there. I will make sure to maintain edge distance, but the same thing is going on the other side over there. So I'll have to do that. The other thing I have to do is continue sanding down these where the skin interacts with it. You'll see I have have the angles there, but I think I need to remove a little bit more material on the back side. Just a little more room for the skin. Up front here, I got a little bit too crazy way early on with the cutoff disc. I could fill that though, that is no issue. So not worried about that. But other than that, it's going together really well. The lift is working out well. It still feels scary every time. You'll see, the reason why it looks so janky here, I have a couple of things for redundancy. So up top there, I had to add the clip to the 2x4 there because my roof is so low in our garage here. So normally that clip sits on that hole there on the side of that lift. But if I did that, it wouldn't be able to lift high enough to get over the fuselage. So I went into the lumber there. So there is another doubled up layer of safety wire that's clipped in. So if that was to fail, it would have somewhere else to go. Down here, worried about failures here. It's mainly using this stick, this piece of wood, which is straddled between those two. The reason why I want to do that is the first time that I did this, I just used only the strap itself, and it was really trying to bring these in. And anyways, this stick helps, I think, distribute a lot of the load between the two versus trying to shrink this whole thing together if I was just to only clip into the strap here. The strap is loose. It is more of a safety feature for in case this, which this stick is, it's a really strong stick. And this canopy I think is only about 50 pounds. But in the off chance that this stick was to break, I have this other one, my old strap that was holding those two, that it could grab. So I feel good there. I'm happy with how this whole hoist thing is working out. But other than that, again, back bulkhead looks good. You'll see it's nice and tight back there, but not too tight. I was able to get that skin on, no bulging or anything like that. So I'm happy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that skin unclecoed back off, pull the top back off again, and do a whole lot more sanding and try it again. Alrighty, so I think it's finally time to cut down the doors, the front scribe line for the front windshield, and the window openings here. So you'll see I have a couple of lines going on. I'll go to the other side, which I think will be a better representation of what I found. I did not find this on my own. I found this in the wiki thread, or on the RV-10 wiki page, where someone mentioned that some of these scribe lines that Van sends you, or that they have on here, may not be exactly 3/4 of an inch. So this here is a solid 3/4 of an inch. You can kind of see hopefully you can see that scribe line there, but it's just a little bit of a raised surface. I'm not sure if when they make this form, if they just lay down a layer of tape somewhere that allows for that scribe line, or how they do it. But what I'm getting to is it's not perfect. So over here in this corner, it got really, really tight towards the inside. You can see the scribe line even got a little bit, if you follow my Sharpie line, got a little bit janky along there. And it is not 3/4 of an inch. So I just went ahead and used this little block there. So I have a set of aluminum blocks that are all different sizes. And I went back around and did the best I could to get a nice smooth line. So you'll see the blue line is my 3/4 inch line. So I am going to cut to that for now. I'm not sure how thin this ends up getting in the future with windows. I'm pretty sure it'll actually stay exactly where I cut it to, which is the 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, so I'm going to follow my blue line here, which fortunately is leaving more material versus taking out too much. So I can always remove more in the future, but you'll see even down here in the corner, I had some issues trying to get a nice curved line with that rectangular block in here. But I'll have a good idea. I'll probably err on the side of caution on the inside and then sand it out in a nice smooth transition following this curve here. So that's the plan there. Again, doors, I was able to find the scribe lines, but they go all the way around. And then the other side here, same story, where it got thin in a few places. Scribe line is here, and 3/4 is actually up there. So, anywho, I'm gonna get to that, and yeah, we'll keep pushing forward. Good morning, YouTube. A quick little update. I have all of the fiberglass drilling done. So at least for fiberglass to fuselage drilling. So you'll see here, I do have all of them, again, drilled, countersunk, ready to rock. Next step involves this canopy, what are we calling this? This is the center cabin brace. That comes factory from Vans in a white powder coat finish. Looking at different RV-10s at Oshkosh, even seeing the new updated RV-10 where they really just made it look snazzy, they painted theirs black, and I think black looks really good. I originally actually spray painted it black, and then I left it out here, and every time I came out here, I'd grab it and kind of purposely nick my ring around the side of it, and I found I was scratching the heck out of it over time. So knowing that, I went over to Steel Vision Garage in Phoenix. I've never used them before in the past. I did a quick Google, found them. I would highly recommend them. He ended up being very, very affordable getting this powder coated. Super nice guy. Helped me pick out the right finish that would handle dealing with hand oils well without being too shiny. I think this is semi-gloss black. If you go in there and tell him what you're doing and you're in the Phoenix area trying to do this, you can reference this video. He will point you in the direction that I went with, which I think this is semi-gloss black, but it is going to be very, very sturdy. So now that is ready to go inside the plane. So off camera, before I sent it off for powder coating, which only took about a week, but before sending it to powder coating this last week, I did set it in here where it's going to go and kind of line it up on the front. I do think I'm going to veer slightly from instructions. It mentions sliding it as far forward as possible inside of this little slot. If you do that, just watch your edge distance on the holes that are going to be up there. So I think what I'll do is I'll match it to where I'm happy with the minimum edge distance in this chunk of meat here without going over the edge. And then what I'll do is I'll take a silver Sharpie and go on the inside, poke it where each of those holes should be. When I match drilling, you won't be able to see it, but it's way in there. So I'll take a silver Sharpie, poke it where those holes are, take it out and see if the edge distance is fine on this side of the part, and then I'll send it from there. Alrighty. So next step should involve removing this, getting the inside prepped, painted, and then final installed back on. But I think I'm going to veer from that like a lot of other builders do. And I'm going to actually, while I have it here, jump into getting the doors fitted. So next video should involve doors and further work with wonderful fiberglass. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in that next video. Adios.